Hi, this is Praios and I'm a professional gambler. Today we will find out who's the best PLO player in the world. I mean, obviously you cannot determine it that easily, but yeah, Phil Galfond apparently made a list and we will look into that. I honestly have no idea who's the best. I did not play actively for a long time, so I can really not tell you, but it's really interesting to see who's the best at the moment, and I wonder why this video is 35 minutes. But let's get into it.
Hey everybody, Phil here. There's a very, very exciting match going on right now between AmSoGood and Berri. In my opinion, the two best heads-up PLO players in the world, if I'm not going to include myself, which I actually don't think I'm the best, but I'm close in contention with them. Berri and AmSoGood.
Okay, yeah, I think you do such a list, you should always exclude yourself. Berri, interesting choice. Back in the day, I never thought that he's that good, but could be that he has improved a lot. And I think I played a bit with AmSoGood, but I think he was just ring game, never heads up. No idea who that is and how he plays.
Both screen names. We don't know their real names. Are playing at 5100 PLO, but they're actually cross booking, as it says on 2+2. Berri posted that they're cross booking 6x, so it's actually 300, 600. So people have been watching the match, and it seems like Berri's been in the thread posting updates. People are posting hand histories, some of the most interesting hands that they've observed in the match. And so today, what I'm going to do is go through the hands.
Oh, so that's not a list of the best PLO players, but we go through hands from the match. That's a very, very cool thing. Yeah, and I am looking forward to doing that. And yeah, we will have this tool, the PLO Trainer, to help us find out if they are playing GTO. Because yeah, that's essentially what you want to do if you play against a very good player. And yeah, also looking forward to the analysis of the Galfond. And there's also another tool in the market. This is this one. It's called PLO Vision. It's made by this guy, Phil Galfond. I mean, it's not made by him, but yeah, his coaching size is promoting it. And he probably also got the majority of money from that. So let's continue.
Try to get inside their minds, tell you what they...
I got links in the description if you need it. Keep in mind, I'm affiliated and will get a small commission, but the price will stay the same and you would help me out.
They might have been thinking what I think of their plays, kind of where I think the match might be going. I believe that the winner of this match is the best heads-up PLO player in the world until someone proves otherwise. To give you a little bit of history on these players, if you're not familiar, Berri is somebody who came up in the 6max PLO games and then started playing heads-up PLO and essentially played heads-up PLO until nobody was willing to play him, at which point he went and played 8-game heads-up until basically nobody was willing to play him. And he played horse heads-up, and then he moved to no-limit Holdem.
This sounds like someone who's actually very, very strong and good. It sounds a bit like Isildur, but Isildur is just a crazy gambler, but this guy might just know what he's doing.
Heads up. And then he had the same level of success. People have stopped playing him at no limit Holdem for high stakes. So Berri's kind of this enigma and kind of freakishly talented Swedish player. 8-9 years ago, we played some heads up PLO, and I don't even remember who won. It was a short, like we played a couple sessions. He kind of became known as the Endboss after that time. If I'm being honest, when I issued my Galfond challenge, he was one of the few that I was hoping would not take me up on it. And he actually didn't at that point because of scheduling reasons, but I've been in contact with him. We've talked about potentially playing. To be honest, he's the only player I would say that I'm afraid of, that I feel like I might be a big underdog against. AmSoGood, unlike Berri, is a PLO player through and through. And he's been a heads-up specialist for quite some time, although I'm sure he's extremely capable of 6max PLO. I have actually played against AmSo a number of times. We played a lot of hands together, and he's exceptionally good. They have a very interesting clash in styles where Berri is more exploitative and kind of takes lines that seem very strange, but he just seems to win.
Yeah, Berri, on that same note, he played this German guy who also made a thread on 2+2 and Poker Strategy, who ended his career, and they played, I think it was either horse or 8-game. And he thought that he had an edge against Berri, but he lost a lot. And he also shared his opinion that, yeah, Berri was worse in a lot of the games after the start, but he catched up very quickly. And Berri also seems to pick up things on his opponent. And he's very, very good at making the best reads against his opponents. He shared a story where he said at one point where it's like a very, very, very clear call GTO-wise, and he did not he didn't understand why Berri was taking so long. But actually, he had the nuts. So somehow Berri picked up the read, but in the end still made the call. But this shows how good Berri is at making reads, and always almost found a call where most people would have just clicked instantly call without even thinking about it.
So seems to be, in my opinion, the most accurate heads-up PLO player from a GTO perspective. There have been so many times in my play against him where I've looked at a hand and I'm just like, that can't be right. That can't be good. I go look it up in the solver and it is. So I've looked AmSo's play up really quick, and as usual, something that I thought was not a thing is a thing. He's either putting in more hours studying than anybody else, or he's better at retaining information than anybody else, or some combo of the two. For what it's worth, in my play against AmSo, he certainly thinks he has the edge. I feel like I have an edge, but the results...
I try to look AmSoGood up and try to find some more information about him, but yeah, it seems like nothing is coming up. So yeah, seems like both of the guys, although they play that high and made millions, did a quite good job at staying anonymous. I also always was this way before I started a YouTube channel. But yeah, I think that's a smart thing to do.
Have been in his favor. So I have no evidence of that, of my belief, supporting my belief. So if you were to ask me, I right now would bet on Berri Sweet. That's based on my perception of him. Just the fact that he's won in so many games and beaten the best in so many games. As a more exploitative player myself, I have a lot of respect for his approach to the game. And I think somebody who's playing in kind of the weird style that he's playing and having success, there must be something really to it. There's a chance he would be a massive favorite against me. I would play him a little bit because I want to find out. If I were betting, I would bet on Berri Sweet, but yes, I would not count AmSo out.
So my Twitter followers should know that this is running, but yeah, so far no one in the stream or no one asking things.
So I hope you're half as excited as I am to watch these two great players play. This is going to be a lot of fun. All right, so this first hand, we have AmSo on the button. He opens the 300, Berri Sweet, 3 bets. And we had to do a 3-3-6 flop. So this is a board on which I would do essentially no c-betting. I would check my full range. Let's see how Berri proceeds. He does, well, we don't know what he's doing with his range, but he checks this hand. AmSo checks back, and they head to the 10 of clubs.
Okay, very reasonable play so far by both these guys. Berri no bets small. Seems like an okayish plan, but checking would definitely also be okay. I mean, not that many cards he's afraid of. I mean, maybe a king or a jack that could improve his opponent, but yeah, his opponent is not having that many outs. I personally, without having checked any GTO solutions, would probably prefer to check call the turn. And yeah, it's also very awkward if you get raised, which might happen.
Turn, Berri's now betting third pot roughly. So he's kind of leveraging his overpair advantage. I mean, that's essentially all he's doing. He's leveraging his overpair advantage in a spot where AmSo checked the flop. AmSo.
Yeah, that was quite a bit funny. It's not an overpair.
Raises pretty big. This is a near pot raise. Pot would be 3,500 or so.
Yeah, makes sense. This is my bluff essentially, and yeah, both people in this situation know that it's unlikely that anybody is having a strong hand here.
He's saying that he's...
And always good to get a fold from your opponent when you just have jack high, and you probably also get out all the higher flush draws by pulling this move. So I like it. Maybe it's a big bit of a raise, if the raise is a bit too big, but yeah, other than that, play.
Slow played the flop, or he spiked a set of tens. And obviously he could also have some kind of turned draw. So let's see how Berri proceeds. Obviously, because this was an interesting hand, something's going to happen.
And Berri clicks it back. Very interesting one.
And Berri actually clicks it back. It's 2,500. Yeah. So Berri clicks it back. And this is kind of a perfect example of unorthodox play from Berri's suite. And
this is also like very, very sick. I mean, is he committed to call the rest if AmSoGood now is going all in? I mean, this is a very sick, unorthodox play, and I wonder what his plan and his thoughts there. Maybe this is another spot where he made this, where he used his very sick reading and abilities and somehow figured out that he has the best hand. But let's see how this hand continues.
In a lot of cases, like when you're out of position here, you're leveraging your overpair advantage. And when you get raised, your opponent is representing that they have trips or a full house. And so when you have a hand that can beat trips or a full house, you often, not always, but you often want to just call, first of all, to protect your overpairs from just getting run over. So you can kind of punish bluffs. But second of all, because most of those hands continue betting most rivers, not all rivers, but most rivers. So this is a very unorthodox play from Berri right off the bat. He clicks it back. AmSo calls. So you got to keep in mind when AmSo makes a big raise and then calls this click back, he kind of has to have something. Could he have, like, the weakest he can have is some kind of weird...
The weakest he can have is probably the hand he has.
Like 10-9-9 that he bluffed with and just doesn't believe Berri. But more likely he's got trips, a boat, or some kind of draw. Now, most 4-5-7 hands bet the flop. So I think it's more likely he would have a turned draw, whether that's clubs or the 7-8-9 type inside wrap. But maybe it's 7-5 with nut clubs or something like that. But most of the time he's going to have some kind of very strong hand. So they have less than half pot on the river. Berri's going to check.
Interesting play. Berri checks.
So, okay. So actually, like, putting AmSo on a hand is not crazy. I mean, like, basically, I know what his value range is. I know kind of what his potential bluffs are here. But putting Berri on a range is really hard because he's played this hand in such a weird way. So he's kind of saying to me either, like, he could just have like 10-10 queen.
This hand would be so sick if AmSoGood now moves all in and Berri makes a call. I mean, that might be the thing what happens, but standard probably is that AmSoGood checks back and loses, I guess. But let's see.
And he's like, well, I could jam for value, but if I check, it kind of looks like I spiked a queen. So then AmSo is going to shove a 3 anyways. And
jam for value? This sounds very, very, yeah, risky. I mean, what worse hands should call? This makes no sense.
And if he missed a draw, I can get him to bluff. So that would make sense to me. It could also have been some kind of turn bluff that river to queen. So ace queen 5-4, for example. But yeah, it's hard to figure out what he might have. AmSo is going to shove.
Okay, he's actually gonna shove. And as we know the whole cards, I guess Berri called, and that's the sick one. I mean, he's getting great pot odds, but still, he has to put him on exactly a hand like this in order to make this call. And the question is he, if he's having enough bluffs? Yeah. It's hard to tell without having any more reads.
And Berri calls. So Berri has showdown value. We'll see if it's a trap or not, or he spiked a queen. And then AmSo, I mean, yeah, his value range is trips plus. It is such a weird line that I could see him potentially checking back trips occasionally, but probably just shoves. And yeah, his bluffs are kind of what you do.
Yeah, I also think that some trips might check back, as this line is so weird. And yeah, AmSoGood might assume that not many verse hands will call ever.
Expect. So he actually turned a huge draw. So that makes sense. And Berri had just the top pair on the turn and spiked the queen. So the river checkmate.
I think I'm now figured out what that is exactly going on. I think in the edit they put in the whole cards, but when Phil was commenting, there were no whole cards yet. I'm not sure if that's correct, but looks like that's the case. I think if he makes future videos in this format, he should know the whole cards from at least one guy, because otherwise it's less interesting. At least that's what I think.
Makes total sense, because you can't get value with queen 10 by betting, but it's too strong of a hand to bluff with, because occasionally AmSo will have hands like this, or AmSo might have like the 10-9-9s that you beat. Well, his river play, at least the check is standard, whether you call or not. You know, you make a read or you get an idea of AmSo's range. But the turn clickback is the only very, very unorthodox play.
Yeah, I also wonder what he's doing against the shove.
From Berri, I can't really analyze it beyond that, but this time it worked out for him. So in this next hand, Berri's on the button. AmSo 3 bets. Berri calls 7-3 deuce, two-tone, big bet from AmSoGood. Kind of repping over pair plus flush draw. But of course, in c-bet ranges in 3-bet pots, there's a lot of mixing. So Berri calls.
Flop looks good. I guess now hands play itself, probably going in. And yeah, it's just a cooler, not very interesting of a hand.
AmSo bets small on the turn. I don't know what to make of this. He's kind of saying that he has like a weak draw, a weak pair, like maybe he turned a jack and he doesn't want to check, but he doesn't want to pot, or he has some kind of very nutted hand that would like to keep Berri in. Berri stays in, he obliges.
Okay, Berri actually is just calling, trapping, I guess. That's a good river card for Berri. Let's see if AmSoGood now turns his hand into a bluff or not.
And AmSo checks the river. Berri's going to jam.
Okay, Berri now has a very easy jam. Very sick. I mean, how sick is this call? I mean, I think after thinking about it, I think this call is actually not that sick. I mean, the jack could be good against all the busted draws. The only thing about calling is that you're blocking a lot of the draws. I mean, you have the nut spades, and you also have 5-6, so that's not helping too much when making such a hero call. But the thing is, how the hand was played with the small turn bet, you keep in a lot of weak hands from your opponent, and a lot of, or at least some of them, should bluff the river. And choosing such a big size also makes him polarized, and I think it's not too unreasonable to find the call button here.
So I mean,
it's a tough call to make.
Because this was categorized as an interesting hand, I think we're going to see a call. So So it'll be interesting to see if AmSo trapped here on the river with something, or just spiked a queen with some kind of weird turn bet, or you know, he had a jack and he just doesn't believe, because a lot of draws did miss. And this is one of those spots where you'll find some players in Berry's spot just like be way over bluffing because so many draws missed and they bluff with all of them. And then you'll find other players who think to themselves, oh, so many draws missed, so I can't really represent that much, so I'm going to give up with a lot of my potential bluffs. I would assume both of these players are more balanced than that. Berry actually had jack. So this is another unorthodox play. AmSo had a hand that kind of makes sense. I would say, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I don't like either of their turn lines. I think AmSo has a really good big bet hand on the turn that, like...
Yeah, he also was a bit surprised that he's betting turn so small. I would have also personally bet big. And yeah, Berry, I think it's okay to sometimes slow play, but the standard probably is to raise the small turn bet.
You have one pair, so you don't really mind if Berry folds one pair. And you're doing so well against a lot of calling hands, but I don't know, just small betting, I feel like gives them too much of a price. And you still get, like, if you're behind, you get raised and stacked still. It's not like you can, it's not like you're deep enough that like small betting allows you to call and have a lot of play left on the river. So I don't like that bet. And then Berry's call, I don't really, I mean, I've never done this. I don't think a solver would do this on a board that's this draw heavy. Just,
yeah, Berry is just not getting any protection for his hand. But I think this might be another spot where he, yeah, got his opponent, got the best of his opponent. As although if he's getting in on the turn, probably gets all the money as well. So yeah, same result, sort of.
flat the turn with the nuts. Especially like when the nuts are top set. Sometimes with a straight, of course, even on draw your board, you flat to protect your range there. But I mean, he must be thinking that AmSo is really polarized there, which is kind of what I was describing.
Need to make a short break. Back in a second. Okay, sorry for that.
I don't really think so. AmSo's going to have, even like, he'll be bet folding some flush draws. So you are giving a free river to those. Maybe he bluffs enough on those rivers to make it work out, but I don't know. This is a play where, to me, both turn lines seem unorthodox. Although, like I said, every time I look up an AmSo play and solver, it turns out to be good. I'm actually going to look it up real quick. So I've looked.
I am not mentioned because I'm probably not the best. Yeah. The thing also is I'm not active anymore. Yeah, also not really active. So yeah, I would not put me the best players, but I'm definitely decent and better than most. Still probably easily capable of beating mid stakes, but would not play against any of the guys. And it's also not the video I thought it is about. It's just a match between two high stakes opponents, high stakes PLO players. So let's continue.
Looked AmSo's play up really quick, and as usual, something that I thought was not a thing is a thing. Here in Vision GTO Trainer, it looks like it's rarely checking, but then splitting between a big bet and a small bet. And he won a small bet, which is totally solver approved. I would have never. I mean, to be fair, I rarely have.
Yeah, it looks like AmSoGood really makes his solver homework. But yeah, I also didn't thought that this is a play. And yeah, I also don't have many turn sims, so if you want to do a lot of post-flop stuff, Vision is better than the tool I use all the time. But the thing about PLO Trainer is that I get it for free and the other one I don't, so that's the reason I only use that one. Yeah, I love it. I like it more to analyze things and be on the theoretical side than actual playing. And the problem also is that I cannot play these days anymore, or I could play, but I'm banned from most sites due to winning in the casino. So PokerStars would be the site of my choice. But yeah, PokerStars banned me. There's also a YouTube video where I explain everything in great detail. And I don't want to play on GG because, yeah, it's mid stakes are not what I'm looking to play, and on high stakes the rake's simply way too high for pot, especially for Pot Limit Omaha. For No Limit Holdem it might be still beatable, but it's still too high. Yes, PLO Trainer is the tool from Jay Nende's site, PLO Mastermind, and PLO Vision is the tool from Run It Once, the coaching side of the Galfond.
Small bets on this turn, but yeah, he every time you plug one of his weird plays into a solver, it actually is just a standard good play. So let's see now if Ace Jack Jack ever just calls. With hearts it does. So let's go with no hearts. 0 to 1. So it actually is also kind of a thing when you have the Ace of Hearts only, though, which Berri didn't have, the relevant ace. He hit the Jack of Spades. So not the craziest play of all time. Kind of standard play from AmSo, and from Berri, it's not as unreasonable as I thought. Neither play was unreasonable, and that's why, you know, the winner of this match is going to be the king.
Yeah, I also think that. I mean, it is also not unreasonable to not play. You don't have to play GTO all the time, and no human can play GTO all the time. Especially in PLO, it's just impossible to remember all the combinations. You will just recognize patterns, and when a new situation comes up, you look at something you already analyzed and then try to, yeah, make it up in your mind and find a solution. Is it a situation similar to one I already analyzed? Okay, when the solver is suggesting this or that, and it will never be 100% accurate. Yeah, check out my YouTube video for sure. Winning Poker Network, I have very bad experience with. I think that that the money is not safe on there. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, I played there very, very much, especially in the 5K games, and I lost so much. I always had great expected value, and just still kept losing and losing and losing. And I think that's because there was a collusion ring or something, and people were just sharing whole cards and crushing me this way. And it's also sort of confirmed because I heard the same from other people who are honest, and one of them even got approached from this ring of cheaters, and they asked him if he wants to participate. So yeah, it's like 99% that I got cheated there, and that's why I also don't want to play there.
Berri opens the button. AmSo calls in the big blind.
I wonder if this is a 3-bet. Is this hand a 3-bet? See. from Cloud. Where is it popping up? Ah, here it is. So let's make this 2 players. Is it a 100 BB stack? It looks like it is. It's PLO 500, but it's not that far off. I mean, the rake is making a small difference. It shouldn't be too huge. And 6, 7, 8 with 1 suit. Is supposed to be pre-betting or not? Oh, the solver is undecided. It looks like. Oh, what is this? Yes, it's suited to the 8, so that's maybe makes a difference. I mean, yeah, I mean, basically impossible to remember this thing. But it looks like if it's not to the 10, then you should be on the side of just calling. So this guy really did his homework, apparently. Yeah, but it's reasonably close, so not a big mistake.
Check, c-bet, check raise, call. I mean, right now,
check raise call makes a lot of sense. I mean, 2 pair and a flush draw. And a gut shot too, so this is a good check raising hand. And what does Berri have? Yeah, I mean, he has a pair and a gut shot and also blocking spades, sort of. How big is the raise? See.
Check, c-bet, check raise.
Yeah, okay,
call.
the
I
check
mean,
raise
right
is
now,
small, so that's why he's
everybody
making
can
the
have a
call.
little bit of everything.
This is yeah, based on odds he's getting. Okay, looks like Berri is getting the best of it again.
Turn 4. AmSo checks. So AmSo's saying, you know, I have some kind of draw that didn't complete. I have like a 2 pair or set. And Berri is very clearly saying that he has a straight potential.
So AmSo is basically writing his hand into the chat.
Potentially like top set with little something else that wants to get more money in against a weaker set and then good river playability, etc. AmSo shoves, usually going to be a straight or like...
That's a bit surprising. I mean, I guess he's not being able to get away on many rivers anyways. And yeah, Berri could have missed and maybe he gets him off something. I think it looks like a reasonable play from both guys.
A set that just, there's so much money in the pot, he wants to end the hand. And Berri calls, probably has a straight. So standard from Berri. From AmSo, yeah. I mean, I'm sure if I plugged it in, it'd be good. You don't really want to bet the turn, so check is good. Then when you face that big of a bet, even if Berri's bluffing with some kind of, I don't know, 5-4 combo, he does have some outs, so getting him to fold is good. And if you're beat, like in this case, you can see he has 38% equity against Berri's straight, which is what he's usually going to have. So I think this is good by both parties. AmSo wins the first run, Berri wins the second. Next hand, AmSo opens the button, Berri 3 bets, king, king 7. Berri goes with a very...
Is this a 3-bet? I don't think so. But I might be wrong. It's just 1 suit. Nope. This is never a 3-bet. Let's see how big the mistake is. It's quite a mistake. So 0.2 EV or 0.18 in EV. Yeah, just call with Berri's hand normally.
Small sizing. This is kind of similar to what I do on these paired boards, and AmSo calls.
Yeah, reasonable by both. I mean, he's facing such a small bet. 7 could be good. He has some backdoor draws. Yeah, fine.
Queen of diamonds. So Berri went with a small sizing. So on a lot of like pair plus flush boards in 3-bet pots, you can even check range, check your full range out of position.
AmSo could even consider bluffing. I mean, having no diamond makes it likely that your opponent is having flush. And this is also a bet size that the flush probably uses. And you are blocking full houses heavily by having a queen and a 7. So yeah, I would probably turn my hand into a bluff, raise and shove river.
Just because you have so many kind of like tier 3 hands, like overpairs, that just want to get to showdown. And so you allow that to happen by protecting them with your slow plays too. But Berri's chosen to bet here, which is interesting. And AmSo raises, which is also interesting. If you're AmSo, you shouldn't really raise a flush here, even the nut flush. Now, could he raise the nut flush to then check back the river and get the amount of money and he wants? Kinda.
Really annoying that Phil apparently does not know the hand strength yet.
But I don't think that's going to be a great play. So AmSo is representing a boat. In a lot of cases, you just want to continue to slow play a boat and let Berri bet the river before you raise.
Yeah, I mean, there are two sides of the coin. I mean, it could make sense to raise here because, yeah, Berri's just betting so small and where you are not able to get money into the pot. But if you raise some boats, you also have to find some bluffs, and that's what he did in this hand. But I am pretty certain that he also will raise some full houses.
It's also kind of odd because King 7, you don't really want to raise King 7. So AmSo's repping specifically King Queen, I think.
It seems reasonable to raise King 7, honestly.
Which may or may not want to raise because you have your opponent drawing dead. So I don't know about this raise. I mean, he's repping King Queen. He probably has it sometimes, and he probably has some kind of like ace of diamonds plus pair or 2 pair hand. Otherwise, Berri calls.
Yeah, obviously Berri calls. He's a
decent
nuts.
size raise. Berri calls, so he
He's
basically
also
has his
blocking
turn value
everything.
range minus a few that he's
So
folding.
he
but like,
basically
he either has a flush or
he basically can, yeah, comes to the conclusion probably that his opponent is bluffing to a high degree of certainty, and that's why he wants to, yeah, check the river too.
or a boat or some kind of weirdly played trips. Check. AmSo jams. Berri calls. And let's see him. So AmSo is
well
bluffing
played
with
for
Queen
both.
7. No diamond. I think it's a... Here's the thing. I think it's a good combo to choose because you want your opponent to have a flush when they're value betting, not a boat, or and you don't even want them to have trips, but you want them to have a flush. So having no diamonds in his hand is a good thing. But on the other hand, I don't know if you even need to raise anything. So that's a little questionable, but definitely a fine play. Berri has the nuts, so fine play as well, of course. So remember, everybody,
It
that
seems like Berri's always getting the best out of AmSoGood.
these are 6 times the stakes. So when AmSo opens here to 300, he's actually opening to 1,800. And when Berri 3 bets to 900, he is actually 3 betting to 5,400. So these pots are bigger than they appear. Jack 5 deuce 2-tone. Berri goes with a small bet.
Looks like another cooler.
I used to have this small sizing on boards like this, but now I just like to use a big sizing. Like
I would also use a big sizing on a board like this.
Like between 1K and 1,200 or I should say like 1K and 1,300 even, and just bet a little bit less. But I mean, I used to use this strategy and there's nothing terribly wrong with it.
I wonder if AmSoGood can also raise this flop. See if this works out with our sims. So raise it. Call. Jack deuce 5, correct? Close enough, I guess. Yeah, I mean, cannot look into this as you only got a big sizing and a check. But yeah, we can see if this is a race against a big sizing. Probably not. Let's just plug it in this way. It looks like even with 3 spades, it's a raise 100%. But some these high flush draws also want to slow play. Yeah, I guess sort of fine.
Berri
I
pots
personally probably would raise more often than just call.
turn. So I mean, there's not a lot of hand reading to do. There are so many different.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't raise either. Calling makes a lot of sense. I mean, you know, also pick up a gut shot too. 7 often is also good. So yeah, you have to chase the draw.
Different things he could have here. Obviously, some bluffs, but his value range is going to be like Queen Jack. It's going to be King King 10. It's going to be kings with clubs, stuff like that. 10 on the river, offsuit 10. Berri checks and AmSo jams. So AmSo is repping a straight. Berri's repping kind of like Queen Jack ish.
Nah, not sure about this one. I mean, AmSo is usually not winning. That's almost certain. He also has a hand very low in his very low up in the hand strength category. So it's not unreasonable to bluff, but the other downside is that you block clubs very heavily. You block straight draws also sort of. So I wonder if this would be a combo the solver would bluff with. I think it's definitely close and not completely unreasonable. So yeah, okay-ish play.
And that kind of sums up where
Yeah, also Berri seems to get lucky all the time. I mean, he always has it.
they're at now. And I think AmSo would shove any straights and probably bluff. I don't think he's going to bluff like a queen or better, because Berri can have some turn bluffs that just gave up, and AmSo can have some like 3-4-6 type hands or 3-4 with clubs that just. So I think a queen has too much showdown value, but with worse than a queen and a straight blocker, I could see him bluffing, you know, a fair number of those hands. He does have ace 10 7-7 with nut clubs. I think this is a good bluff, probably. And Berri actually was trapping with the nuts, so that's interesting. So Berri's flop play.
Berri's plays are very unconventional for sure.
Turn play, flop play. I'm assuming that's just his only sizing, or maybe he splits. I don't know, but either way, small betting that is fine. Checking it is also okay to check call. His turn play is very standard.
Berri's
you could go for check raise, but I think betting is good. AmSo's flop call and turn call are standard, and then both of their river plays is where it gets a little bit iffy. So
yep.
Berri unblocks a queen, which should make him want to bet a little bit more. He unblocks clubs, which should make him want to check a little bit more. He blocks 2 jacks, which I guess should make him want to check a little bit more. I tend to usually shove these spots and let my opponent find something to call with.
I think I would also shove it most of the time. Berri's shoes, but seems like this guy's are just always making the right decision, at least in the 3 or 4 hands we saw.
But here, you know, this obviously worked out. AmSo's play, I mean, I said I like it. I think it's got to be okay. You don't really want to have 3 clubs in your hand. That's certainly a negative.
That's what I said too.
He doesn't have a 3, 4, or 6. That's good for him. And he's got an ace, which is good for him as well. So got to be a fine play by, I mean, I think it's a fine play by everybody, but River's really interesting from both their perspectives. It's cool to watch them navigate these things. Berri on the button. He's going to open. AmSo 3 bets. Berri's going to call. Let's see a flop. Small bet from AmSo on the straight board. I feel like he bet bigger than this one.
Okay, he's giving a very good price, so but this could still be a fold. I mean, what are you trying to accomplish with such a bullshitty hand?
I played against him on these boards, but oh well. Checks the turn. Berri's going with a big bet. Berri's representing. Sometimes 10. He'll have like the queen high straight with something else to go along with it. Sometimes he'll have, he's mainly repping king 10. Occasionally he'll have like, obviously.
Looks like Berri once in a lifetime also makes a mistake. And AmSo is trapping with like the second best straight and a redraw.
He'll have some bluffs, but occasionally he'll have maybe the queen high.
You obviously don't want to check raise, you just want to check call. As the king 10 is a possibility.
Straight with nothing to go along with it, and he's looking to bet fold, but I think that's not really standard on board this draw heavy. AmSo check calls, deuce of clubs on the river, AmSo checks.
Yeah, it looks like a standard check call. Not sure what to think of this bluff. I mean, I usually prefer to at least have some kind of blockers. But yeah, he's a jack blocker. He's blocking a bit of these straights, but he's no club. And yeah, I'm not sure if he should do that. Probably not, honestly.
Berri shoves, AmSo calls. Let's see him. Berri has a very non-standard hand here. So, okay, so he's facing his jack 6-4-3. He's facing a really small bet. I think it's probably a fold. Even
that's what I said too.
Into this small bet. And then on the turn, he's got no equity. I mean, look, Berri is Berri, but I don't really like this because
I agree.
Like if he wants to rep the queen eye straight, he can still check back and bluff the river. And then that way he can also rep a lot of cards that come in on the river, even though he doesn't have good blockers.
Good point.
This just seems like a lot of money to put in with no equity on a very draw heavy board. So this seems a little suicidal. I mean, jamming the river when you get here this way, okay. You'd like to have a club blocker, but it is also hard to be bluffing in this spot. So I think he would get a lot of credit. AmSo had a flush. AmSo's play looks good all around. I think his flush is too weak to lead. Like he's going to want to lead.
Yeah, I love how AmSoGood played it.
A lot of flushes on the river, but he's going to want to lead like jack high or better flushes. 6 high flush, I think, is a check. So AmSo, I think, played this very well. Berri played this very unorthodox. We saw that earlier.
I think Berri played it terrible. Let's name it.
Earlier work out for him. Here we see it not work out for him. But that's kind of what you get, I believe, with Berri. Speaking of which, there's one funny element going on. So at some point, Berri posted on 2+2 that he's having a winning week. He posted a winning update. Moose Gills responded saying, "Great job, boss. My dog's daycare made a collage to celebrate the successful week of gambling." And Berri says, "Let me know if the dog has a favorite PLO hand. I'll 3-bet it every time I get it in the match." So the whole match. Luckily for Berri, Moose Gills picks a kind of normal hand, like a decently strong hand, King 9-7-7, single suited, aka the lucky dog. So that is now the lucky dog. And then later on, Berri does post a hand history of him 3-betting King 9-7-7, single suited, which again, it's not a terrible 3-bet. He c-bets and takes it down. And then Berri says, "I'll add the next hand anyone says and 3-bet it 100% too." And somebody said ace 8 5 deuce single suited. Someone else said ace 5 10-4 rainbow, ace ace ace, and someone else said quad deuces. And Berri goes and says, "I'll 3-bet all of them," sort of. He says, "I'll add ace 8 5 deuce single suited, ace 10 5-4 rainbow, and deuce 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 for now." He says ace ace ace.
He's getting very cocky, and it's also very easy to forget in a match. I mean, deuce, 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 you cannot miss, but these crappy aces, you might just on autopilot fold. And maybe he's joking. I mean, we don't know if he's doing it with all of them, really, but seeing the hand before, he might actually do it.
X is more combos than I can count to, which is obviously a joke. He's now 3-betting these weak hands 100% of the time. On April 13th, Berri goes on to post, said, "I might have lost a lot of buy-ins yesterday, but the thread hands are still 100% won pots." So the hands that people told him to 3-bet are still winning 100% of pots. He shows his 3-bet with ace 8, 5 deuce suited to the 8, taking it down on the turn. He also posts a graph of what appears to be the full match so far. So this is April 13th. It looks like Berri is down roughly 70K, which is 7 buy-ins.
Oh, 70K, that's a lot. I mean, 70K, it has to be multiplied with 6, correct? So, yeah, decent money. So what is it? Oh, I can't do the math. Like 400K or something.
So at 6x the stakes, that's going to be 420,000.
Okay, roughly, I got it.
I believe. So not going great. I'm unsure if Berri is doing this just for fun because he wants to have fun.
Expensive fun, though.
Or as kind of a needle, like a sign of disrespect to AmSo. Like, I can 3-bet a bunch of terrible hands.
Could also be the case that he wants to entice further action from other guys. It's like a future EV play.
And still win, which currently he's not winning. But it might be some combination of the two. But definitely the 2+2 community loves it. Let's get back into some hands, though. Raise 3-bet.
I didn't knew that 2+2 is still a thing in 2023.
Call 10-8-3 rainbow, check Berri. That's half pot. AmSo pots and Berri shove. So Berri's kind of saying 2-pair plus.
What? The 10 Queen King King seems a bit ambitious.
AmSo is saying
He has 2 backdoor draws to go with it, but still, it seems. I mean, I wouldn't be too happy to get that in. So, what was the pre-flop action again? Where's the start of this hand? Maybe here? No.
that's half pot. AmSo pots and Berri shove. So Berri's kind of saying 2-pair plus.
So Berri donks. Is this a thing? Oh no, Berri is not donking. He's had 3-bet this one, right? Is this a 3-bet? Let's check first if this is a 3-bet. I think probably it is. Pretty certain that it is. But yeah, never. Should, if you don't know for certain, should check. It looks like it's a close one, but more in the direction of 3-betting. Okay. Let's now call. What's the word again?
Plus.
3,
AmSo is
8, 10. 3, 8, 10. 10 is the highest card on the board. That's about it. Got a flush. No flush draw. That's it. And he makes, again, this is a different continuation bet size. So cannot compare that to 1-to-1, but yeah, that's the best we got. I think this hand might even be a sharp pre-flop, honestly. Berri seems to 3-bet a bit more than he should. Anyways, let's see what this hand is supposed to do. It has 2 backdoor flush draws, so spades and diamonds, for example. Let's go. Yeah, so that's supposed to be a 4-bet. And AmSoGood missed it. Or did I misread pre-flop action somehow?
that's half pot. And
Oh,
back into some hands, though. Raise 3-bet call. 10-8-3 rainbow, check.
I misread it. My bad. So raise, call. Try to find this one again. 10. And 8, 4. And He checked as the continuation better. I think that's actually a thing. Berri might bluff with quite a lot of things. He's blocking a 10. He has 2 backdoor flush draws. He has an overpair, so that makes sense, I think. Yeah, I like it. If I don't misread the board, this seems to make sense. Looks like this hand can do both. Let's see what his actual hand is supposed to do. With 2 backdoor flush draws, it can also do both, but betting is the preferred option. What happens if he gets raised, by the way? It's interesting to find out. So if he made a standard continuation bet, is he supposed to get it in? Oh, wow, I just messed it up, sorry. So this should be that, and then download. I think he probably I have no idea, honestly. He's either calling or shoving. Let's see what the play is. The play is to just call. I think I like his line more, although that's not the option you choose most of the time, because yeah, this way you make the hand easier to play. I mean, that should not be a thing in 2023, but it still makes the hand easier to play.
Berri bets half pot. AmSo pots. And Berri shove. So Berri's kind of saying 2 pair plus. AmSo is saying...
I think that's terrible, by the way. He should not shove. Why ever shove? I mean, yes, you got good equity against almost everything. True, but there's no reason to shove. It's obviously that your opponent is never, ever, ever folding. So why not see a turn and maybe get some fold equity on card that did not help you? So yeah, that's terrible. That just doesn't make any sense. If you have no fold equity, why get it in?
Kind of like King, Jack 9, Ace 10, 9, 7, like strong 1 pair hands, maybe some dry 10, 8s. So let's see the hands. Berri has a wrap. These are both a little bit interesting to me. So as Berri, I would have just called the flop and then called basically any turn.
That's
it's
what
kind
I'm
of, I guess,
too.
Insignificant. And then as AmSo, I mean, I'm sure it's solver approved if he's doing it. So I'm not even bother looking it up.
We already checked. It's solver still does some checking, but betting is a standard.
But it is, I mean, it seems totally reasonable. He's blocking top 2. He's blocking top set. He's got 2 backdoor flush draws and he's got straight draws, yet he has 1 pair and a lot of turns are going to be dicey for him to play. Maybe he thinks Berri is betting this board.
It looks like he's also a bit of doing like the easier to play route, but you should not be a thing, but actually is a thing. AmSo as straight blockers, maybe a thing, but not that many.
Or just like betting when check 2 a little too much. And I guess given that AmSo showed this hand, if the turn were a 7 offsuit, AmSo might check fold. So maybe Berri's right to get it in on the flop. AmSo's going to win the first and Berri's going to win the second. They will chop it up. All right, AmSo opens button. Berri calls King 10 deuce rainbow. Berri with the check raise. AmSo calls.
Berri with the check raise. What is the action?
And I guess given that AmSo showed this hand, Berri's right to get it in on the flop. They will chop it up. All right, AmSo opens button. Berri calls King 10 deuce rainbow.
Why is he check raising? I mean, he's just having a gut shot. And some backdoor stuff. So not a big fan of that. Yeah, easy call from AmSoGood.
Berri with the check raise. AmSo calls. We head to a turn.
Berri bets small. It's AmSo now Trying to trap him to get him to bluff river, bigger size, maybe. And this is also strange sizing from Berri. I mean, I would certainly not do it if I hit a straight.
Berri bets tiny. He's betting 1/5 pot. So on the flop, Berri's saying that he has.
This is I mean, using such unorthodox sizing definitely couldn't put your opponents off, because they are not used to this. People usually use the standard sizings recommended by solvers. So this could be a bit a good play because of that. But yeah, other than that, don't like it that much. And yeah, I wonder if AmSoGood can make the incredible good read that he's full of shit and just call and then call or shove any river.
Set or some kind of wrap. Maybe some king 10 with something else to go along with it.
But yeah, it's easy to get very greedy and raise this small bet, because assuming that your opponent is having some sort of 2-pair or like a set which you don't want to give free cards or stuff.
But dry king 10, I don't know how often that raises. On the turn, I don't really know what he's saying. He's kind of saying,
yeah,
I have ace queen 10. I have like king queen jack 10, although he would 3-bet that unless maybe it's rainbow. Queen jack deuce deuce. Like he's saying I have a monster or some weird bluff, I guess. But I mean, maybe this is his small sizing on this board. My small sizing would be more like third pot. And then I would bet third pot with a set of 10s, for example, or a set of kings, perhaps, or I might check call that. But I don't know if this sizing is like a vacuum play that in this spot he just chose to bet this sizing with his hand, or if this is his default sizing in spots like this. But to me, it strikes me as a strange default sizing. AmSo calls. So AmSo is saying probably not the nuts, although possibly because Berri's play is so odd. And then like like king 9 plus makes a lot of sense. He's always going to come along at these odds. And even like ace king queen can come along at these odds. Okay, queen on the river. Berri checks.
Oh no, Berri got so lucky. Seems like he gets quite lucky quite often and still is down a ton in this match.
He could just have king king. He could have the king high straight and he just doesn't want to play a big pot. Or like, you know, feels better off checking and check calling than betting and potentially getting raised. AmSo bets half pot. He's repping the straight, obviously. And Berri shoves, repping specifically ace jack.
Very unlucky.
Which, I mean, ace king jack.
Very
ace,
hard
queen,
to get
jack,
away
deuce, or something.
Straight also.
I don't know. I wish he could have AmSo calls. We do have a weak ace jack and we have king queen jack. So very interesting plays here. Slightly thin check raise on the flop from Berri.
Slightly thin?
I mean, I don't know what to make of his turn sizing, so I'm going to just leave it at that. It's a very reasonable hand to bet some sizing on the turn. It's just a strange sizing choice. AmSo.
I also really wonder about the river play. I mean, I would almost always bet myself in Berri's spot. So this is, yeah, again, very unorthodox.
If king queen jack decides to just call the turn, I think that's really good. You want to, I mean, when somebody bets tiny, you do want to raise a lot of your nut straights, but the like one combo you would like put into your calling range first would be king queen jack, where you block top pair and you have the straight. So I think well played by.
Yeah, that's good. Very, very good point. Makes a lot of sense.
Well, by AmSo and Berri. I'm not going to say badly played or well played. I don't really know. It's just a weird play. Berri going for the check raise on the river is a little bit strange to me, just in that he does not block any pairs. So AmSo is going to have a lot of, you know, king, queen, 10 that could call a bet. Yeah.
I would like 100% bet the river. Like never check.
I don't know. Like,
and there's so much stuff that just takes the free showdown. So this is, I don't know about this. Maybe he has a Trojan and sees the cards or whatever.
If Berri had ace jack king or ace jack 10, I would like this more, but blocking none of the pairs is kind of strange. But hey, He got a full stack out of it. AmSo's decision against the raise, I mean, there's no clear decision either way in theory, so just make a read. Next hand here. AmSo on the button, he's opening to 300. Berri calls, queen 5-5, check, check. Offsuit 8 on the turn.
Berri again. Bluff. He picked up a lot of additional equity, so it's reasonable. Obviously, easy call for AmSoGood.
Berri with the check pot. AmSo is calling. So Berri is saying he has trips plus. AmSo, you know, could have some slow plays, but he's usually going to have a hand like queen 8 or king king. Maybe he turned 8-8. Berri pots. AmSo.
Yeah, looks. They're not call. Yeah, this time Berri is not winning.
Calls. Let's see them. Berri was bluffing with 8-6-4-4 with clubs. Queen 5 for AmSo. So I think
it's sort of reasonably played by both guys.
The flop check from AmSo is kind of unusual. Generally, when you check boats like this, you want to have clubs in.
Oh, he had a boat. I didn't even got it. I thought he had just had a trips. Yeah, sure, he has a boat.
Your hand, so that you at least one club, so that you're blocking. Like if you were to bet now, he's going to get a lot of action from flush draws. He's going to get action from a 5. He's going to get action from under pairs to the queen. So usually I don't check this back unless I have a club, at least. And even then I often bet with 2 clubs and queen 5. I always check. Berri.
Yeah, I also think that betting is the play most of the time with queen 5. Although slow playing some can't be bad.
His check is normal. His check raise pretty normal as well. Like you want to fold out a hand like, I don't know, ace jack 3 deuce with a jack high flush draw that played this way. And bombing the river seems okay as well. You're blocking 8-8, which is pretty key. So I think, I don't want to say standard, but kind of standard from Berri.
Yep.
And AmSo's flop check is a little odd, but it worked out very well for him. And I don't know if that's his default or if that's an adjustment to Berri Sweet. He's trying to induce more bluffs, essentially. All right, Berri Sweet on the button. Gets 3-bet by AmSo. He calls 9-5 deuce, 2-tone, check, check.
Is this a 3-bet? Oh, does not look like a 3-bet to me. But let's find out. Give me a second. We'll pull up the PLO Trainer. Once it's loaded up. King 7-7-8. Let's see how this PLO Prodigy does with his 3-bets. Be correct with this one. Yeah, yes. Yeah, okay.
8 on the turn. AmSo's potting, which is interesting. This is a board that favors the imposition player.
Yeah, but he has the blockers plus the redraw plus thing. I also wouldn't hate check raising, given how bluffy Berri appeared so far in the hands. I think check raising is actually the better play. But yeah, anyways, Berri probably calls with his draw and the 9.
Although not by a huge amount, but also out of position, you have a lot of just dry over pairs that you want to protect with you know, small bets and checks. But he's going for pot. Berri calls.
Okay,
everything
like
gets there,
sort of
kind of, on the river. AmSo checks, kind of claiming 6-7 or 8-8. Berri pots, claiming a flush.
It seems like this time Berri gets owned odds quite a lot for a bet. Not sure if that's the sizing you want to choose. And I think AmSoGood should now raise for value, although he does not have the nuts.
Flush. AmSo is all in, claiming a nut flush, maybe second nut flush. probably not flush, or like king of diamonds blocker, ace of diamonds blocker. Berri calls, claiming that he definitely has a flush. And let's see who has what. So AmSo with king high flush, Berri with the 9 high flush. Nice, sort of thin. I mean, it's in theory, this is not too thin, but a nice sort of thin check raise from AmSo. And I really like that he used 7/7 blockers, because normally if you get to this
in game, it's also often like you just hit and you don't think it through anymore. You are just like, oh god, I got it, I need to make so much money. Then you just bet, then you get less money when trying to go for the check raise. Like this time he made like double the money or whatever.
And you have, let's just call it for the sake of argument, king, queen, queen 3 with diamonds, which he would not have potted the turn with, but just for the sake of the example, I think you'd often want to bet because you're going to get called by straights, but straights are not going to bet for you. But now that he blocks 2 7s, he blocks the straights really hard. And so going for a check raise is going to get Berri to...
I think it was a genius play.
Bluff some Jack 10 combos, bluff some, I don't know, some like even 5 deuce or 5/8 with a diamond, probably going to bluff. And then value bet some flushes. Here you got Berri to bet call the 9 high flush. So well played by AmSo. I mean, Berri's play, flop is good, turn is good, river is like I would bet, and then you make a decision against the check raise. Not a big deal. So I'm really excited to see.
Yeah, I think Berri bet big on the river and maybe could have even been folding. You choose a smaller sizing.
See how this unfolds. I have no issue.
Yeah, block betting to induce is also done sometimes. But yeah, I think I would choose a normal size, but not pot, and maybe even fold, depending on the opponent, to the river check raise.
Stating that I believe that the winner of this match is the heads-up PLO king, at least for the time being. That can always change. You know, based on seeing the hands, I kind of saw what I expected. Good plays from...
Look like AmSo is going to be the king, given the graph shown. But yeah, okay, it's... not sure how long this match will last, and he's just down like 7 buy-ins or something, so this can change dramatically still.
Both parties, I saw a lot of solver approved plays from AmSo, and I saw a few very non-standard plays from Berri Sweet, but I could kind of guess, well, the Jack 6 4/3, I can't really guess the logic there, but the other ones I could kind of get an idea of why he might be doing what he's doing. And yeah, it's going to be really fun. For anybody who loves PLO or just loves seeing the greatest compete, I recommend you follow along either in the 2+2 thread or watching them on PokerStars or wherever.
Or watch me reviewing videos from the... This should also work out.
Else the action is being followed. If you like this video and you want to see more hand review and or updates on the match and or my opinions on how it's gone, let me know, and let me know which of those appeals to you more, because
yeah, this was quite fun. This was a longer stream of mine, probably like an hour or something, or even an hour and 13, so that's a lot. Yeah, long stream for me, but for normal people, for most other streamers, it's like nothing. Really enjoyed this one. Yeah, like, subscribe, share if you watch this on YouTube, and also consider to follow me on Twitch, or if you watch on Twitch, you can also go to my other channels. I always tell people when I'm going live on Twitter, so if you don't want to miss that, follow me there as well. Yeah, I guess that was it. Good luck at the tables. Thank you for watching. Thanks for the commentary. Bye bye until next time.